outsider, that Pixel Life, this is the first time you and me actually get to be on a podcast together.
Well, the funny thing is, actually, I'm not even going to be on tonight. So, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do now. I'm just kidding.
It's like Robbie just disappears.
I'm just calling to
Like,
say bye.
Yeah, I'm just calling to say hi and bye. That's all.
you're like, I'm just waiting for Final Fantasy VII to load up in the background. And
Yeah. Soon as Midgar renders, I'm out. So, hey Robbie, do you want to do video? We're gonna try to do some video, I think. Or do you
I don't know if I don't know where I'm at in the house. I don't know if where I'm at in the house, internet will be best for that. Like,
okay, that's
like,
fine.
I tried to Zoom call earlier, and it wouldn't. I had to do only audio.
Gotcha. That's my bad. I forgot to tell you that earlier, but we will sally forth. No problem. But hey, man, good to talk to you. It's been forever.
It has been a while.
It has. Now that you've emerged from the backwoods of Georgia.
Yeah, and his daycare is opening up next month. Not this Monday, but next Monday. So him and I will be going home next weekend.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
a country road, take me home.
Right. And
the
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Just I had a few friends who were giving me crap that I'm gonna send him back to daycare, and I ultimately just had to tell them, I understand that it might not be everyone's first decision, but I have not been in my home in 6 weeks.
Right. And at some point you can't live like that.
I don't have,
Yeah,
I can't. And they've made me feel very comfortable with the precautions that they're taking on this thing, and I just trust them to make a decision that is best for the kids, and that's all I can really do,
Yeah, and it's just try to keep his hands out of your mouth, and you'll be all right, But 2-year-old or infant or toddlers, I should say, do what they're gonna do. So, all right, are we ready to roll?
Yeah, we're recording.
Okay. Robbie, you good? Justin, you good?
I'm good.
Robbie, you still there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Just checking. Yep, I got you.
Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to That Pixel Life. This is episode 88, recording on April 19th, 2020, and welcome to the new normal. We're here. The gang's all here. We are very excited to embark on what is going to be year 3 of That Pixel Life, Shannon. Year 3.
What?
Not hard to believe. Yeah.
No way. No way.
Well, I mean, technically it's been 2, but we're going into year 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go with that.
We're embarking. That was the word embark. Yes, embarking on year 3. And we've got some news to talk about. We got some games we're going to discuss. And, let me tell you a little something about me real quick up front. I'm insane when it comes to the NFL draft. It's one of my favorite days of the year. And in honor of that, and because, I'm a sucker for comic books and the draft, we are going to have a comic book villain draft. And I'm excited to get to that because I have a feeling you're going to hear some names that don't normally show up. So to do all of that, I have with me, as always, Mr. Shannon Moore.
Dude, what day is it? I have lost all track of time.
Yeah. Days, times, it's all just bleeding. It's crazy.
Dude, they're all nothing goes together anymore. I don't know what days I work anymore. I get a call saying you're late for work, and I show up and work for 10 hours. It sucks. I miss the days of a set schedule where I could go out and see the sun and do things on a regular basis like normal humans do. I'm not doing well right now, guys. I gave myself a quarantine haircut, and I don't know if you can see it on the YouTube channel, but I'm bald, so that's where that's going now.
There's There is a reason I wear hats. And also, speaking of hair-challenged individuals, back from the woods of Georgia, and I'm very excited to welcome him back to That Pixel Life, Mr. Robert Stumple. Robbie, how you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing all right. Just trying to. Well, it's been an eventful. It's been an eventful 3 months, I guess, for your boy.
Yeah.
Everything from my wife's deploying to my son being constantly sick to having him have surgery to this shutdown and him and I having to move to Macon basically for a while, and now we're in Brunswick, Georgia for a while. We're actually just for another week, and then we're finally going to get to go back home. And I have not lived at my house for over 6 weeks because I'm a teacher, so I have to teach online, and I can't really teach whenever my son is going around screaming, you know. So I've had to rely on others a whole lot.
Well, it's good that you have that network, though, to lean on. And I found it interesting that you chose to quarantine yourself from the internet as well as from other individuals. So
yeah. Definitely wish that hadn't have been the case. I have missed internet greatly. Where I'm at now in Brunswick, I have basically full internet, so I've been very thankful. I've been able to watch YouTube videos, and that's been enjoyable. Or just watch, just Hulu. It's been fun.
All right. Well, and last but not least, the fourth chair we have on our newly cemented roster here, Inside Out Games himself, Mr. Justin Time Carter. Justin, how's Arizona?
It's doing pretty good. Just like Shannon, I also gave myself a quarantine haircut, but I did downstairs, not upstairs. But I shaved my chest and arms, and I was telling Shannon how weird it feels to feel. I was like, I haven't felt like clothes touch like bare skin on my chest in probably like a couple months. So yeah, so it's going good.
I'm glad you've made it awkward for everyone, including yourself.
Yeah, no, I have no problem growing hair where I'm not supposed to, thanks to my father. So
yeah. I love that we're all follically challenged when it comes to our hairs. So that's great. It's something we can unite over.
It's a running theme for the podcast.
Yeah.
That's why
if you're a balding white guy, then this is. If you're a balding white guy, this is the show for you. So just to catch everyone up, this is going to be the regular roster going forward. I'm very excited about it. It's a group that I love talking to on a weekly basis, and I hope you love listening to on a weekly basis. I'm going to talk a little more comic books going forward because, something we stumbled across when Justin a few weeks ago was talking some Dark Avengers and doing all this, and it got my gears turning, and I started looking through some of my long boxes, and I really love comics, you guys. And I know everyone here on the show does as well. And I'm a Marvel guy. Robbie's a DC guy, so I think we have a good balance. I think we're gonna lean into that a little more because I miss comics. So sorry if you don't like it too much, but we're still gonna have games. We're still gonna do some movies. We're still gonna all that stuff. But I'm just gonna fold in some comics a little more, kind of like we're making a wonderful dessert. We're just gonna fold them in like some chocolate chips in the batter here. It'll be good stuff. Robbie, are you good with that? The more comic talk. Robbie,
as someone who's an avid collector, yes, absolutely.
As you're sitting there surrounded by stacks of sleeves, you're like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
But because you are mainly a DC guy, though, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, like the bulk of my collection and the comics that I have of special value, yes, like I have the bulk of it is DC. However, there was a time where, especially early 2000s, where I was in love hardcore with Marvel. Everything from Avengers Disassembled up until basically until Secret Invasion. I was eating up every book they got. I was eating up every DC comic as well at the same time. Like I was both for a while there. But then especially after Secret Invasion, where not Mark Millar, Bendis did once again took an incredible concept and he just butchered it with putting us in the Savage Land for freaking 4 issues. I basically had to just not write off, but Marvel's constant wanting that, I call them the dry erase board of comics, where they just constantly will do something that's supposed to be big and mega and this huge event, but then they just within a few issues they renege on it. And I know DC has done it too, but it just seems like the turnaround for Marvel is just so much quicker.
I was just about to say, you really want to talk Crisis on Infinite Earths and the New 52 and all that? You really want to walk down those roads? Like, come on. Hey, where'd you go? Robbie.
Is my
you're breaking up on us, man.
Yeah, is it my internet that's bad right now?
I'm not sure. It's working right now, so.
Okay, so I understand both of them were doing it, but during the time of what I'm talking about, during that like Secret Invasion era, it just got so annoying. And then also, I just think the quality of Marvel's books had dropped drastically. But then, I've been a Miles Morales defender from the beginning when he was created. Like, yes, I know everyone loves him now because of Into the Spider-Verse, but I'm an OG Miles Morales fan. Like, I've got his first appearance. I think his creation was one of the best. I think he's probably one of the best created characters in comics in the last 20 years. But to answer your question, yes, I am a huge DC guy, and I love comics. I love comics a whole lot. And just to brag for just one quick second, I have the first appearance of Dick Grayson. I have the first appearance of Mary J. Watson, and I will hopefully one day trade those in to buy myself something nice.
To get yourself another droid from Star Wars Land.
That's right.
At Disney World, yes. Now, Justin, are you also a Marvel person or DC? Are you indie books? Like, where do you go with?
So I'm a bit of both, and you're gonna see that on my draft because I have DC and Marvel in my villain draft. I was initially Marvel for like a long time, and my friend Matt, who was in the comic books, he had a bunch. He's like, oh, you should read this, and he's the one that like introduced me to a lot of the really good Green Lantern stories, like some good Flash stories, stuff like that really got me into Green Lantern, Flash. I already liked Batman, and of course there's like you can reach into a giant pile and pull out like The Longest Halloween or Last Joke and a bunch of good Batman storylines.
I'm a big Long Halloween fan. That's probably my favorite Batman story, to be honest. I love Long Halloween. Hush is another one that's up there for me.
Yeah, Under the Red Hood. I like the Red Hood.
Court of Owls.
That's
Death of the Family.
Yes. For like the newer stuff, yeah, dude, Court of Owls was like fantastic.
And then the
that was one I
tie-in. Oh gosh, so
Court of Owls is one of those
ones
I wanted. I was gonna say Court of Owls is one of those ones I wanted to just make it a movie. Like, just make this a movie. Just let's do this. It's such a great, like, you can see it play out like on cinema, as you're reading the panels, and
it wouldn't require a lot of setup or like it doesn't require you to really know anything beyond just like Bruce Wayne's Batman, like whatever. Like it sets up the old Gotham family. It does all that shit. It's not like there's a lot of reading involved before going into that storyline. So.
And then Shannon, for comics, where's your bent mainly?
Marvel. My grandpa, like, I mean, we had a comic book store, like, pretty much like 5 minutes away from his house. And you know, Zach, you would know, it was down by Belmateo Bowl, like it used to be, like that Peninsula Comics right there. So we used to go down there like every Tuesday, and like we used to get like all the new releases. But we will always focus on the Marvel like stuff. And when we were collecting like the cards and doing all of the card collecting, it was always Marvel. So, you know, my loyalty lies there. Like I can kind of like float in the DC universe, but like there was just something about it that always kind of seemed a little now this is just my opinion, Robbie, so like take it easy on me. But I always felt like DC was like the knockoff like Marvel universe. Like they were good stories, but like they just never really had the flair that went with it. But that's like, personally, that's just me, Robbie. Like I see that judgmental stare. I see it. I accept it. But that's just how I felt with it.
Well, look,
I can feel Robbie just seething under the.
No, actually, Shannon, I will not. I actually don't have a lot of negative to say. I would say specifically during the 90s, or whenever you've read comics. If you've read it during the 90s, I could completely understand someone being more pro Marvel than being pro DC, because during that time, like, you had all these people who grew up reading Barry Allen as the Flash, but Wally West was the Flash, or Green Lantern Kyle Rayner was Green Lantern during that time. Then they had the whole weird death of Superman and not really knowing what to do, and you know how Superman broke death in comics, which you should go watch. Max Landis's video on that is fantastic. But no, I agree with you. Like, I think I'm okay. You didn't ask for this, Zach, but I'm gonna give it anyway because I've been on the podcast forever. So, and I can do what I want. And plus, I found.
By the way, I love when you see videos working now, and I'm watching Robbie in live time switch into preacher mode. It's like his whole stance changes. His like hands start working. It's like he's at the pulpit all of a sudden.
Yeah, Robbie looks like Jason Statham about to like swing on Shannon.
So actually, growing up, I actually didn't really read comics at all. My only introduction to DC characters was really just the cartoons with Spider-Man, Batman series, stuff like that. My dad, I don't want to bash my father because I love my dad very much, but he just kind of pushed us more to focus on sports. And, you know, my mom had us focus on, you know, reading classics. Like, you know, the first book I ever read as a child, not the Old English version, but I read the Odyssey. Like, that was one of the first books I ever read because my mom was just focused on making sure that we were reading and we played sports. So anyway, with that said, it wasn't until college. I was 18, and I just walked into a comic book store to pick up a book for a buddy for his birthday, and I saw an action figure of Nightwing from the animated series. And I had always been a fan of Dick Grayson. I love Dick Grayson. I will defend Batman and Robin and Batman Forever just because I think Chris O'Donnell's portrayal of Dick Grayson is actually really good. And so this guy, his name's Dre. He was a comic book store owner. He was telling me, he's like, yeah, man, I'm a huge Dick Grayson fan. Like, and he had every action figure Dick Grayson's ever, like, of any Dick Grayson action figure. He had every one of them up there. And I was like, what is this? And he handed me a couple of comics. He handed me Judas Contract, and he handed me for Teen Titans, and he handed me a Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller story, and he handed it to me, and I read it, and I read it, and read it, and read it again, like, and I just was consumed by it. And so, like, Dick Grayson is my favorite character in all of fiction, like, of all fiction. And like, I own every Nightwing comic ever published. I own all those figures that Dre had. Like, I own, not his, but I own a copy of those, and he still sends me comics to this day. And I don't live there anymore. And I don't know. That's how I got into comics, was just this introduction of Dick Grayson and being a troubled youth who just hated, who did not understand being told no by his adults. And that's just something Dick Grayson dealt with. And it was just, I love comics. And so with that said, I got to grasp the 80s when DC was king. And so that helped me immensely to just hook onto some of those characters. So Shannon, like, if you grabbed onto Marvel during the 90s, man, more power to you. Like, I mean, you've got some incredible runs of Captain America and Iron Man, and especially the Avengers during the 90s. I mean, holy crap, they're so good.
The X-Men run with Jim
yeah.
Lee, you know, like, yeah,
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's funny. Before we were recording, me and Justin were talking about 80s comics and, well, some of the villains with the villain draft we were discussing, and it's hilarious to me just the crap that Marvel was trotting out there in the 80s. They were just so desperate to make anything happen, and it was just like the villain I was talking about was the Reaper. Do you remember him? The Grim Reaper. It was like Captain America villain, and essentially he was kind of just the Scorpion with a big like sickle for a hand, and it was just and it was just like the dumbest shit. He looked like some like bastardized BDSM pirate costume or something, and it was just it was hilarious, man. It was just like, really, that's a villain you're gonna try to make happen? And yeah, but you know, this is also when Batman was in its prime, Superman was in its prime. Like, they were doing a lot of great stuff at DC in that era, so they were just trying. They were scratching and clawing.
Crisis of Infinite Earths, Infinite Crisis, like the crises during the 80s and I would say some of the 90s are just so amazing. Like the death of Barry Allen may be one of the greatest moments in comics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the
voted
parallax
upon by the fans, by the way.
Yeah, like, that was really interesting. Like, especially since Jason Todd is like, think about how morbid this is. Like, a mass group of people voted for a teenage boy to be murdered.
Man, they really hated that character, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, we'll revisit some more comic stuff in a little bit. But yeah, it's something that I've just felt bubbling under the surface of the show for a while, and I figure we might as well just dive into it because we're all nerds like that. So let's just go. But as far as some news, it's kind of a lighter week as news goes. But one of the things I saw happen that I thought was interesting was Sony launched a play at home initiative during this whole COVID-19 crisis. And in America, that means the Nathan Drake collection and Journey are free, but you don't need an account or an online thing or anything to get them. You can just log in and download them, which I found very curious as far as like, it kind of shows the gatekeeping to these titles, and there's nothing really stopping a publisher from just being like, yeah, just download it, it's fine, other than, you know, barriers that they put in there to make sure you pay for it. But as far as the titles go, what do you guys think? I mean, the Nathan Drake collection, it's 1, 2, and 3 of Uncharted. That's a lot of game for free.
Whenever it's like PlayStation Plus or Games of Gold, like you have a financial investment in those games, and there can be sometimes a disappointment because of the games that you're putting money into that. But this being an absolute free product, like I don't see how a lot could complain. Like, I think that's incredible value. That's essentially 4 games, you know, and all 4 in some ways are awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if you have PS Plus, you actually can get all of the Uncharted games right now because 4 is the game for April. So, but the thing, interestingly enough, the Nathan Drake collection was available on PS Plus, I want to say half a year ago to a year ago now. And if you have done that, you should still download this one because it supersedes your PS Plus. So if your PS Plus ever lapses, you'll still own this game, unlike a PS Plus game. Yeah. That's been confirmed. So it's still worth, and Journey as well. So it's still worth your time to download them, or at least claim them so you can download them later. But yeah, I mean, I like the Tomb Raider games a little better than the Uncharted games, just as far as mechanics go. But it's some of the best stories out there in that have come on the PlayStation as exclusives. So, do you guys have thoughts, Shannon, about the Uncharted series? Are you an Uncharted guy, or?
Yeah, I find Uncharted to be it ekes out Tomb Raider just a little bit more for me because I do like the comedy and the story and the action in it. Like, yeah, the controls suffer a little bit compared to like the Tomb Raiders, but I think that the overall end product is better with the Nathan Drake series. So, I mean, I think I went through that Nathan Drake collection maybe a little over 2 years ago, and I enjoyed like every bit of it. I mean, granted, like the second one I think was a little bit more, what was the weakest of the three, I think. But yeah,
interesting take. That
yeah,
two was the weak link.
Yeah, but I didn't mind playing through it. I thought I had a lot more fun with that series than I did trying to get through a lot of those Tomb Raiders. But yeah, that's a great out of the gate. Like, if you're gonna start an initiative like that, that's great. I also found it a little funny that they were doing this play at home initiative when they don't do anything to support their PlayStation Vita, which is their portable version. So it's just like, hey, we've always played at home because you don't support your mobile initiative. So yeah, that's kind of a redundant name there, Sony. Thanks. Nice, Justin, nice. Do you got anything to add to it? I mean, what do you think? Do you like Nathan Drake?
I do. So what's funny though is I've only ever played the fourth one. Mm-hmm. So in the series,
okay.
So because I got a PS3 my PS3 that I got was a Slim, so it was very late in the PlayStation's life and stuff. So it's like 1 through 3 had already come out and had been whatever. So it's like I think I own 1 and 2 on PlayStation 3, but I don't think I've ever played them. But then, like, the hype for 4, like, when 4 was coming out on the PS4, it was, like, so big. And I actually had a PS4 at the time when it came out. And I was like, all right, like, I'll pick, like... And even though I hadn't played the first 3, it gave you that, like, 10-minute video at the beginning and stuff that kind of walked me through the story of the first 3 games. So it's, like, it didn't take away from the fact that since I hadn't played the first couple, that I still really enjoyed 4.
Yeah, there's only 3 franchises I can think of where I've actually gone back, to the earlier, like, previous generations to get the games to play them. And I think it has been the Uncharted series, the Gears series, and Halo. I think are the only ones that I've really gone back just so I can make sure that I got, like, the full experience with all the generations of all the games. So, I mean, it says a lot for me, like that would be one of the games. I mean, it's on one of my higher, like, more respected lists of games to go back and play. So, I think it's a good thing that Sony's doing. It's a good olive branch to get people to back onto your systems.
And for my money, I think 4 is the best one. I think it mechanically is the best game they've made, and it also is the best story. I really like the whole Pirate Island thing they did and all that. Now, as far as the original trilogy goes, I'm going to go on a hot take here. I like the first one the best. I really do. I thought the whole story with El Dorado was super cool, and all 3 of those take a real dumb turn in the last act of the game. And it becomes predictable by the 3rd one, but the dumb turn I actually really liked in the first one, and it's short. That's the thing with 2 and 3. 2 and 3 are like 20, 30-hour games. You can beat the first Uncharted in like 7 or 8 hours, and that's the type of story it tells too. It just kind of gets right to it, gets to the point, gets in, gets out, and it's great. It's good. They grew into their chops by 4. By 4, I wanted the 20, 30-hour story. Like, I was into it at that point. But I don't know. As far as a free game though, like that's a ton of content for free, and I'm with that. Now, as far as upcoming games, things are getting pushed around and stuff, but a release date was confirmed, and I put this on here just because I am actually super on board to play this, and I'm actually really excited. Streets of Rage 4 is coming out April 30th. and it was confirmed, and it's going to be on PC, PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, but more importantly for me, it's also a Game Pass game at launch. So I can just download that and start playing, and I'm pretty excited about it. Robbie, are you a Streets of Rage guy? You ever get down on some Streets of Rage?
I mean, you know my background as far as game.
You kind of that's why I'm asking, because you kind of come on board PlayStation 1 era, so you've missed the originals.
So like I know what Streets of Rage is, and I probably played it at some point in time as a kid, but I don't remember having any affinity or whether it was good or bad. Like the only kind of like side-scrolling brawlers that I remember really playing are the Battletoads, the Double Dragons, Double Dragon Battletoads, and then of course the two greatest of all time with the X-Men game and the Turtles in Time. You know, like or the Simpsons game, or the Simpsons one that they had.
Marge with the vacuum cleaner.
Hell yeah. Like when you do the team up powers and like Lisa and Bart are just like screaming while they're holding onto each other's hands, like running around smashing shit.
Or Homer picks up Bart and he's just like cracking people with a skateboard. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. But no, I was a Sega kid growing up. I had a Master System before I had a Nintendo Entertainment System, and I had a Genesis way before I ever had a Super Nintendo. And so I was all about Streets of Rage. I thought they were a great beat 'em up. I thought Streets of Rage 2 was the best one. I loved being Max. He was the huge like wrestler dude and it was really for one reason. If you picked up a sword or a pipe, he was big enough that when he swung it, he hit the people behind him and in front of him when he swung. And it was like this great little like one up that you got. But I've been all about this since they announced it. It looks stunning. And honestly, I can't tell you the last beat 'em up I've played that wasn't an arcade classic or like The Simpsons or X-Men or Turtles or one of those. I honestly couldn't tell you the last beat 'em up I played that I liked at all. So I'm kind of in for the nostalgia of it, and I'm hoping it's actually a good game and not just a full nostalgia piece.
I was like the last.
Go ahead, Justin.
I was just gonna say the last beat 'em up I played that I thought was super dope was the Scott Pilgrim versus the World one.
I never played that game actually. That was good.
Dude, it was so good. Well, it's like it was so good, and the music was fantastic, and it was great. And then, of course, licensing expired, and they pulled it from the Xbox arcade and stuff, and then it just exists somewhere in video game purgatory now.
Yeah, I played River City Girls that was released for the Switch. It was kind of like the River City Ransom kind of like vein with some updated graphics. And that game was challenging, but it was fun. It didn't really scratch the itch like I'm hoping this one will. I do like the fact that there's a lot of versatility with characters. I mean, like there's like 20 characters that you can unlock with this game. So, just the different play styles that's going to come along with each of these characters, I think is going to add legs to this game. And I just hope it's got like a pretty meaty campaign mode to it. I would like to get some online, 4-player co-op. That would be pretty dope if we could do that. I mean, the problem is I'm probably going to buy it on the Switch because my Xbox isn't set up at my house. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to playing it.
Well, hey, everybody owns Switches now.
Yeah, that's true. My problem becomes with getting it out of my wife and kids' hands to do anything but Animal Crossing.
Sounds to me like you need to get a Switch Lite because GameStop has them back in stock now.
Bro, if I could justify that expense in my house, I would have already done. I've thrown it out there 3 or 4 times as a trial balloon of you could just get one of these for you. Just hey. Or for me, and I'll take it, and you could have this one. Just what do you think about that? It never goes.
You need to rummage through a couple more drawers and find some more of those gift cards.
Right? I need to find a couple more of the DS games. Like that Pokemon game set me up, man. That was $164 for Pokemon Soul Silver. Like sweet. But I'm kind of on board with this the I'm trying to find the right way to put it, like the old game but the next chapter in it, because I've always thought that, where it was for a long time the 2D side scroller kind of went away, and I was like, but these machines we have now are graphical powerhouses compared to the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis that all this stuff originated on. Why aren't we just getting like incredibly beautiful 2D side scrollers? And there's been enough retro gaming and things of that nature making a comeback that I'm hoping this will kind of usher in a little bit of that, where it's like, yeah, give me another Sonic game that's actually like a 2D side scroller, really cool, beautiful, in the vein of 1 and 2. Like give me, and Nintendo's done it a little bit with the Mario titles, but like give me Super Mario World 2. That's like stunningly beautiful and pops and has all that like super tight gameplay that the originals did, like I want that. Give me that.
Well, didn't Ori kind of do that for you?
Sure.
That's kind of in that
absolutely.
vein.
Absolutely.
Definitely I would like to see more of those games come out. I'm playing one kind of right now. We'll get into it a little bit, but yeah, there's some potential out there. You just gotta search pretty hard to find it, I think, right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's like with Sonic Mania. They gave the rights to Sonic to a group of indie developers, and they like took like Sonic and Knuckles, like old school like Sonic, and made it modern, but kept the pixel graphics and cleaned it up, made it nice, and made a Sonic game that was the best Sonic game that's come out since the Sega Genesis. So.
Yeah. The best Sonic game made in 25 years was not made by anyone at Sega. So
exactly.
that tells you all you need to know. As much as we all loved watching that killer whale jump around in the first Dreamcast Sonic, it just wasn't, the rest of that game was hot trash.
Speaking of Sonic, I watched it. I watched that movie yesterday.
Yeah.
And
your thoughts?
I had freaking fun. I had fun. I had a lot of fun with that movie.
Yeah,
I've heard that from multiple people. Also multiple people on the show, that it's actually pretty fun. So
yeah, because they don't try to do too much. Like they just let Sonic be. They let Sonic be Dash from Incredibles and just be incredibly hyper and just be a fun personality and like a fish out of water, like trying to experience things. And they do something really fun with the rings, which I thought was smart.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the bad part of the movie is Jim Carrey's Robotnik, but I don't think that's his fault. I think that's the writing of him. But Marston seems like he's having fun, and dude, freaking John Ralphio is crushing it as Sonic. Like I thought he did a great job.
All right, there we go. I will. It's on my list to watch. It's on my list to watch. That's for sure.
And now it's raining, so I have to go inside.
Well, while you're on the move, we have one last little news item that I wanted to just run past you, Robbie, which is J.J. Abrams is going to be producing a Justice League Dark series for HBO. And I wanted to... That's all we kind of know about it at this point. It's supposed to show up sometime in 2021. But I just was wondering who you'd like to be on that roster as far as Justice League Dark. Is this a Constantine-led team, or what are we working with here?
Well, I think it's I don't need Batman on this team, but I need John Constantine. Like, and honestly, I'll take Matt Ryan's John Constantine from the CW show or the NBC show, however you viewed it. Like, I'll take him. I think he's great as Constantine.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with you. And my problem with that show was it started slow, and by the time it got in its groove, by like the third or fourth episode, I think they lost like most of the people that were going to watch it. And it was like, man, you had it. Like, by the time that first season ends, it's like you guys were in it. Like, it was good.
If it could have gotten a second season, I think it would have done so much better.
Agreed.
And I think Swamp Thing has to be part of it. And so Zatanna, like, give me Alexandria Daddario as Zatanna, and I'll be happy forever. Like, because I just think go ahead.
I was gonna say, if for Swamp Thing, are you rolling in like the kind of like sage, lack of a better term, Earth Mother Swamp Thing that they've recreated for a while?
Yeah, like kind of the wise, the wise creature who you don't want to anger. Like, he's basically Groot if Groot could talk,
The trash heap from Fraggle Rock, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting, and it's a thing where I like some of these lesser known properties. Not that Justice League Dark was ever small in that regards, but it's not Justice League, it's not Batman, it's not Superman or Flash or any of those. It's a lesser team kind of getting its time to shine on something like an HBO series, and I kind of hope more books find homes like this as comic books are popular right now, and things are getting optioned and produced and all that. And it's like, yeah, let's run with some of this stuff and see what works and what sticks. And it's not going to be a CW show. It's going to have a little more better production, and it's going to have some more money behind it. And I'm on board. I want to see what it's like. And it's not to say the CW shows are bad, but they're very obviously second, third tier network TV.
They're formulaic. They're formulaic, and they've gotten bad. They've gotten bad, and that's like none of the shows have been as high quality after season 3. Like, every single one of them drop in quality after season 3, and that, like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to me is the one that I'll defend till I die, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is so bad, in my opinion, for the first 10 episodes of the first season, but then after
it's hard to watch that first season.
But after that first season, or after those 10 episodes, like it's incredible. And then in season 3, it's getting tiresome again at the end of the season 3. And season 4, they're like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna tell two different arc stories in one season, and it was just brilliant. And that's kind of where they've been since then. And I like
how they just went like, F it, we're going to space.
Yep.
I don't know. We're all in the Matrix now. Yep. F it. I don't even care. Like, yeah.
We're going to space before Fast and the Furious does. Like,
oh, that's funny.
Dominic's hanging out there.
I think that's cool. I think Justice League Dark could be a really cool concept. But concept and execution are all, always the problem, right?
And that's the other thing too, is like, I would like to get your input on it too, Robbie, is do you think JJ is like a good pick for this? Because like, I know a lot of people are still kind of, I don't know, they're still kind of butthurt about like Star Wars, like, the way that, wrapped up. Like, do you think JJ is still a reliable like source for this material, or do you think there's another like director that would probably be a better fit?
When it comes to showrunners, I don't know if there's many better than JJ. If you look at Lost, if you look at Fringe, which Fringe is my all-time favorite, like I don't know what you would call that, hour-long show. Well, yeah, or hour-long show. Then. What's the other? There's like 2 other shows that he's had a hand in. Westworld, he had a hand in starting, and then there's other, like, he actually has almost he has a perfect track record when it comes to running TV shows, and also being a part of Buffy. Like, it's actually when the movie thing that he's had issues with. So I'm actually excited to see him kind of do show running again, because he has big picture eyes. Like, he gets big picture really well. But go ahead, Zach.
And also, I'll defend him a little bit on Star Wars. That was very clearly someone paid him a lot of money and gave him marching orders, and he went and executed that plan. I don't necessarily know if that was his vision or plan. That was, hey, this is what people didn't like about Episode 8. This is the list of shit we need to fix for Episode 9. Just do it. And he did. And it worked. To degrees, people can argue it, good or bad or indifferent, but it worked. And I don't think that was necessarily his vision, but someone paid him very well to execute it. So he did. So I'll defend him a little bit on that. And I have no idea what the hell is happening outside of this room. Good Lord. I don't think anyone's hurt, but there is screaming, and I'm concerned. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Sounds like a hyena broke through your window in your living room and is running around.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's the 6-year-old turns into a hyena sometimes, so I will do that. I think it's time, gentlemen. The time has come. The Mike Miller Animal Crossing check-in. By the way, I've had someone message me and ask who the hell Mike Miller is. Mike Miller is an old friend of mine from way back in the day on the Rotten Tomatoes gaming discussion web forum board, and we're talking early to mid aughts here, like way back. And he's a great guy, and he's someone that when we first started talking Animal Crossing was giving me and Shannon a bunch of crap about how we weren't going to play it, and now that we are playing it, he was giving me a bunch of crap about how I'm enjoying it. So I've just decided to name the Animal Crossing check-in, the weekly Animal Crossing check-in, the Mike Miller Animal Crossing check-in in honor of him. And so now you know. So sorry if that was annoying, but Mike's a great guy. You should get to know him. Join the Facebook group. Anyway, so yeah, I had stock market redemption this week, gentlemen. I redeemed myself after taking it in the shorts. My first foray into the stock market, I doubled down with $100K worth of turnips, and found actually it was CJ from Player One Podcast opened up his island, and he had 490 on was the sale price, and so I
my man
cashed in. I got all bedrooms in my house. I'm building bridges now. We are funded on my island. T-Rexopolis is shining this week.
That would explain some things, because you came over to my island and you were just like, yeah, I'm gonna drop like 10K bells like on your bridge right here. Like I'm just raining bells. Like just thanks here, helping you out. Like I'm like, oh thanks, dude.
Hunting is a habit.
And then I'm over here like, you know, I'm happy with like maybe like a 50 bell increase on my return. So like didn't make that much like on my first foray into the stock market. And I'm like, yeah, this is good. I'm like over here with like breadcrumbs, and Justin and like Zach are just like making it rain like all over my island. Like, dude, guys, come on.
Zach's riding over to Shannon's island with 2 oarfish strapped to his feet and a pocket full of bells.
Just, you know, I'm riding in on coelacanths, just like, what's up, boys? You know. But yeah, it was a good week. It was a good week in T-Rexopolis. We had rain last weekend, and I mentioned coelacanths because we caught coelacanths on our island.
That's awesome.
My wife, my son, and myself all managed to get one. My wife played till 2 a.m. to get it. It was like at one point I stumbled out there. It was like 1:15. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm the only one that hasn't caught one. I'm trying to catch one." I'm like, "You've been playing for 4 hours. Like, just go to bed. What are you doing?" And then finally she got one at like 2 a.m. and came to bed. But yeah, it's been my son's caught the marlin and the tuna now. He's like Mr. Fisherman these days, so it's good to see. He's finally got enough rooms in his house that he has a freshwater fish room, a saltwater fish room, and an insect room. All of them are fucking packed to the gills. It's ridiculous. Literally packed to the gills. And but yeah, no, it's we're going good. I set the campsite up. We've got residents moving in. I've got a resident named Hippo that I appreciate. They spell it Hippeaux. So it's like a Cajun hippo. Yeah, French hippo, which I appreciate. But yeah, other than that, life's good. How's life on the islands, boys?
Justin, why don't you go first?
I was like, my island's been to Blumpkin report. I was like, it's my island's been doing good. Last week I sold my term. Someone in my had like in the 400s, so I made like 2.5 mil off my investment and stuff. So that was nice. So I have my house is completely paid off. I built all the bridges and inclines and stuff that I could possibly want in my village. So all that's taken care of. So now I'm just kind of at the point of waiting for Nook's Cranny to update to the bigger building and just trying to get furniture that I actually want in my house and stuff. I have the max number of villagers. Someone tried to move out and it was one of my dogs that I specifically recruited. I was like, "The fuck you're moving out?" I was like, "No, you're staying, boy." And he's like, "All right, I'll stay." So I was like, "No, you're staying."
They're like, funny thing about that, I locked the airport. You can't leave.
Yeah. I was like, "You ain't got no Nook Miles tickets. You ain't going nowhere." I bought this week. I bought like 200K worth of turnips at like 103. So it wasn't that great, but I still have 2 million. And like I said, money is kind of trivial at this point, except for just stuff for my house. So I just wanted to buy enough turnips that's like I could go to someone's island in one trip, because I had been doing 2-3 trip like turnip returns. So I'm like, no, I'm at the point where I could just do one, and if I get like 1 million or something off of it, that's cool. I'm like, but
yeah,
Nice.
I had to make 2 trips to Shannon's Island this morning to buy turnips at 90 bells because it was 110 on my island. So
yeah, you were getting
$20,
gouged.
20 bells is worth the trip. 20 bells per turnip. That's, man, got to
It
make
is.
that money.
Yeah, and you get to see what shambles my island is in, because like I like honestly I haven't done a damn thing to it. I mean, like, I'm crowdfunding my bridges because
Yeah.
I missed my uptick on the market. So
I was like,
yeah.
Shannon made a fans only page trying to pay off his bridges over there. Like banging 2 rocks together trying to get a stool out of it.
So my son knows how to read now and really thought the name of your town, Shannon, was hilarious. Just so you know.
That's awesome.
Like booty? And I'm like, yep, like booty. And he was like, that's amazing. So
There's your
you've
target
impressed a
audience, Shannon. Yeah.
impressed a 6-year-old, Shannon. Congratulations.
Nice, yes, that's what I was going for. But you know what? The one thing I've noticed is, like, you guys have come to my island and like you just like pillage my turnip sales, and like you don't leave anything on the bulletin board. Like, you just thanks. I'm gonna dip in, get my shit, dip out.
I paid you $10K for your goddamn bridge. Get off me, son.
Yeah. I was like, I haven't even been to your island, so if I ever get to come to your island, I will totally do something on your billboard for you.
All right, thank you.
Though I have to say the reason I didn't was I had to get the F out of there after my second purchase because we were having weird connection issues, and I didn't know if I was going to... I went 3 times to his island. The second time I got kicked and none of my purchases got saved. So I was like, I'm getting back to the airport as fast as possible.
You're like, you got to get out before Shannon's house phone rings and kicks you off.
It's not that bad.
It's like weird science. He's got the receiver on the modem, like you take it off.
You're like at the airport. You're like, no. Home.
Yeah, exactly. Just damn you, dodos, move faster. Robbie, were you playing Animal Crossing at all?
I did for 3 days.
3 days. Did the Easter event bounce you off it? Because it damn near killed me in the game.
I don't. I'm trying to think of the last thing I was like the last benchmark that I made that you guys would know. I got the museum open, and then and then the Easter event happened, and I just was like, and then I started seeing what I had to do next, where I had to collect 30 of 30 and 30 and then 9, and I was just like, you know what? I'm good. I'm all right. I'm good. And so and then at that point I was like, I need to find something else to play. I need to find something more adult to play. And so I downloaded Dark Souls to my Switch because I've never beat the original. Also, I got NBA 2K20 on PS4 digitally, and I am currently about 15 15, 20 games in, and Kevin Herter is leading the voting for league MVP because he's averaging 38 points a game.
Nice.
So Zach is probably the only one that gets this, but
Yeah.
He's averaging 38 points a game. Trey Young is averaging 7 points a game, and I'm undefeated, obviously, and I wanted to be the first one to let a ginger win the league MVP. Like, that's just what I wanted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Delonte West never got there, so
yeah,
you gotta
exactly.
do what you gotta do. But yeah, so I guess that's our Animal Crossing check-in. I'm excited to get the rest of my residents. I want to get this KK Slider concert up and moving soon. I want to roll credits so that I can start terraforming and do all that stuff. So
you can jump on Final Fantasy VII with the big dog.
Probably not. Probably not.
Dude, get on that game. It's good.
So good.
Okay. Let's move into some more what we're playing, and why don't you and Shannon take the wheel here? As they say in the South, Robbie, take the wheel and walk us through some Final Fantasy.
I hate that song so much. So first of all, just go ahead and get this out of the way. Tell me if you've heard this before, Shannon and Justin and Zach. There is a Square Enix game that might be the most beautiful game I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me if you've heard that before. No, man, like they did exactly. It's on my bed or his bed. So this, okay, I of course was excited for it. So was Shannon. My skepticism has been from day one that I did not want this to feel like a money grab. And like, because of them splitting it into parts, because, like I've said numerous times, we live in a world where Witcher 3 exists, Dragon Age Inquisition exists, and those games can easily be up to 250 hours. Metal Gear Solid 5, 200 plus hour game, and you're going to tell me that this game you can beat in about 40 hours on the original is too big. And so, like, I felt that was my concern. But man, they've kind of squelched that. Like, it's not side quest galore or retrieve quests. Like, what they decided to do, which was really smart, is say, hey, these characters that don't get a lot of face time in the original game, hey, we're going to give you backstory. We're going to give you things that flesh these characters out to where you can appreciate them more or dislike them more, and so, like, the combat is incredible. I'll let Shannon gush over that. But, like, for me, I think the biggest telltale sign that this Square Enix was trying to do the consumer justice was that they've put a ton of story stuff in this game that I kind of really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, this game is phenomenal in that regard. Like, I was in Robbie's camp too. When I saw that, this game wasn't going to be the full game, I was like, okay, it's just going to be getting out of Midgar. Like, what are they going to do? Like, because, from my memory of playing that game, like, but before, there wasn't a lot of substance there. Like, I didn't really know what their game plan was, what their, and so I was skeptical because I didn't want it to be just like a really bad, short game. Like, I didn't want this to be like beautiful, but like 5 or 6 hours, like, and then you're done. That's where my worry was. But once the reviews started to come out, and they were talking about character development and looking at these the support characters and creating more of a narrative for the story and creating more of a plot to the game.
The world getting expanded too.
Yeah, the world getting expanded. I was a lot more intrigued. Like, going through the first mission, when you're going into the factory, finding out that there's now a third party that's watching you and, had a hand in blowing up the reactor, and it wasn't just, your crew that did it, and the damage it caused the city and the effects of it, and the characters that you're, actually going into blow these Mako reactors up with. Like, everything about it, like, it's its own game now. Like, it's definitely it departs from that original game. Yeah, the original game is the the essence of it is there. But this is like morphing into its own beast. And, it's one of those games where I think about playing it when I'm not playing it. As fun as Animal Crossing is to play, like when I'm playing Animal Crossing, I'm thinking about playing Final Fantasy VII. Like I want to play that game. Like it's gorgeous. Like you're in there for, checking out the nuances of the town and doing the quests to get the materia and to get your summons. And before you know it, like hours have gone by. Like it's just one of those games that consumes my attention. And like I don't feel like I'm wasting time in there. I feel like I'm having a lot of fun. So like, yeah, I mean, I'm only maybe like 8 to 10 hours into the game right now, but like, yeah, I can see myself sinking a tremendous amount of time into this, especially to get like all of the summons that you need to get, to get everything as powerful as I want to be. Like it's gonna be like a 40-hour, like 45-hour process, and I'm looking forward to it. It's not like a grind. So
Yep.
I mean, that's a good indicator for me that I want to that this is an amazing game for me.
In a world where, because I want to hear what you have to say, Zach and Justin. In a world where in the last year we have seen Final Fantasy 3 come out, and we have seen Shenmue 3 come out, and they still have not seemed to have caught up to the culture of video games in 2020. Because I mean, if you go, Final Fantasy is still, I mean, I'm sorry, not Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts 3 is still just a bunch of freaking fetch quests, and that is very annoying and very troublesome. And Shenmue, like, look, it was crowdfunded, but it really wasn't. It should have done better, but it was still caught in 2000 with its original gameplay. This is nowhere near that. Like, the only thing that's caught in the 90s in this is its incredible music and the characters. And so I applaud Square Enix for this. I would really appreciate if this game is not 3 different games. But if it is, it is. Like, at this point. I'm only about 5 or 6 hours in, due to my current situation of having a little gremlin koala attached to my leg at all times. I don't really get a ton of game time. That will change next week when he is at daycare. Praise God. But no, Zach and Justin, I would love to hear your guys' like kind of viewpoint from the outside looking in.
My viewpoint was I played the demo and was really shocked at how much I liked it, because I mean, as you guys well know, the original version of Final Fantasy VII was not a game I thought very highly of. The story.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah. The story. I mean, I like the story, and it's a game I played, because it was one of those games you kind of had to play way back when to just be in the conversation. But I always thought it looked way rougher than everyone praised it for being. And if you look at it now, it's laughably bad graphics in that game. But the summons were always the cool part, but the combat was something that I always thought was lacking. And the demo made that up in spades. Like, just and you get a feeling from the demo that the combat they're showing you is just kind of the tip of the iceberg. And from what you guys are saying and from everything I've read about it, it sounds like that is true. Like, the combat is the reason to kind of keep going in that game. So between that and the expanded universe that they're building out and all that, it's a game I'm definitely looking to play, but probably not at full price. If I can pick that up on a sale or something like that, like it's something I'm ready to move onto at that point. But I'm probably gonna hold off for a while. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, for me, like, Final Fantasy was never a series. Like, a lot of the big ones, like, I've never played the original 7. I've never played 8. I've never played, because I didn't have a PlayStation, like, when those were, like, really big and stuff. So I never got the chance. But from, like, the outside in, the best Final Fantasy game I ever played was Crisis Core on the PSP.
Okay.
And I loved the shit. I've played it probably 2 or 3 times, like, just going back and, like, replaying it. And I really dug it. And just from looking at this and stuff, it's nice to see that, you know, it wasn't just a slap updated textures on it and call it good kind of ordeal, that they actually put a lot of work and I even heard that, you know, that they had initially considered using the models from the Advent Children movie and stuff, but they realized even that is old. That movie is so that came out when I was in high school. Like, so they were like, even this is dated. They're like, so we're just gonna
fan
need
of
to
that movie,
redo
by
it
the
again.
way. Fan of that movie, by the way.
Oh yeah, that movie's awesome.
I've seen Advent Children probably at least like 8 times in my life.
Those fight scenes are so freaking dope. Like, oh my gosh. And I think Justin, just really quick, because I can't remember, is it something I could show Elijah? Like, it doesn't have blood or like guts or anything like that in there, does it?
No, I'm pretty sure it's just PG, and I don't think there's guts or anything. Like, I don't even think really the majority of the action happens at the end when he's all riding on the bike and all the swords come out like on the bike and stuff.
I just want to see the city fight again, where all of them are fighting. Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I was about to say the Bahamut fight is the thing. Like, I still remember the first time I saw it, and it just blew my damn mind. Like, it was like, I honestly hadn't seen anything like it at that point, and it was crazy.
Those and the Resident Evil CGI movies, like I gobble those up. Like, I'm not.
Now those I wouldn't show Elijah.
No, oh my god, no.
You're like, when you're 7, I'll show you.
Like one of them is literally called Resident Evil Damnation. Like, I don't really think I probably should show that to my child.
Little early for that one.
But no, I like, Zach, I feel you though. Like, you know, because I'm just trying to think. I know there were games last year that I kind of had that feeling where everyone was like, "Oh, you got to play it." But I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to. I may wait for it. And I think for me, the biggest takeaway is just this isn't the cash grab, and it's not disappointing.
Yeah. It definitely seems like a labor of love, which is pleasant to see, honestly, because, you know, it's a cynical ass world out there, and I can see where things could have gone a different direction very easily for them with a very beloved title like this. We're gonna move a little quicker here. So Shannon, why don't you give me a rundown of some other things you've been playing?
Yeah, I've been playing this game called GrimValor on. It's out for the Switch, but it's also on your iOS phones. It's like a side-scrolling hack and slash game. It's I think $4.99 through the iTunes store, but it gets like these abilities that you that you can use to attack people. Oh god, did I lose you guys? Oh no, okay. But
you're back.
All right. So it's like it's a side-scrolling attack based like kind of Dark Soulsy, where like you can't just like hack and slash your way through the people. You have to kind of look at the patterns of their attacks. You kind of have to like run around and dodge them, strafe like certain attacks and bosses.
Like a Dead Cells kind of thing, or
yeah. But like when you die, you don't lose your progress, so it's a little forgiving there. So it helps you like level up and get new gear and stuff like that a little faster. But yeah, it's definitely a good game to kill time. Like graphically, it's pretty good. The controls were really. I think if you have big hands, it's going to be a little daunting for your scheme. Like the left and right, and then all your attack and dash and dodge buttons. But I think if you could like sync up a controller with it, with like the newer with like the newer iOS, like if you could sync up like your Xbox or PlayStation controller to it, I think you would have fun with it. I think it's a good little time killer for $4.
Sweet. And Justin, anything you've been playing other than Animal Crossing?
So I know I had promised last week that I was going to do. I worked so much overtime that I put in 65 hours this week in overtime, so I didn't get a chance to. But I was like, I am still going to play that. I do want to do the Ring Fit, the DDR whatever thing on the Ring Fit and stuff, and try it out. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to do anything besides sell some turnips this week.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of like me. All I had time for was cleaning up some stuff in Ori, but that's really all. And it's also because I'm waiting for Resident Evil 3 to show up. So that should be here. I should have that to talk about by next week. So that should be fun. So the time has come, gentlemen. Draft time. We're doing comic book villains. All comics are game, Marvel, DC, Independence, Image, whatever you got, bring it. And I have picked a random order to begin. We are drafting. So these, of all the comics are out there, you get to pick your own roster, starting with pick number 1. The first overall pick goes to Mr. Justin Carter. First overall pick in the initial That Pixel Life draft. What you got?
Dr. Doom.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. I had to say him first because I knew he was going to probably be on someone else's list.
Yep. Okay, give me your reasoning. Why is he in the number 1 overall pick?
Well, dude, he's great, and he is. So my thing is, like, the first time I really got into Doom was there was a 6-issue miniseries on Doom, and it was like about how his mom was like a witch and all this stuff, and then he got into like black magic and stuff, and then using like science and combining black magic and stuff like that. That's basically like how he built like his empire. And in like recently in comics, there's the one, Robbie might know it. I don't remember what it was called, but it was where it was the Illuminati, and it was like Doctor Strange and them, and they were trying to, and Richard Reed and stuff, and they were trying to prevent different universes were blowing up, and they were trying to like figure out how to stop the different universe, and they were like afraid that theirs was going, so they were communicating like with themselves across different multiverses, trying to figure out what's going on. And it basically ends with Doctor Doom becoming a god, and he meshes all the universes like together into this like battle Earth whatever, where he just throws everyone together. So like Old Man Logan gets thrown in there, and like different shit that doesn't exist in other all of a sudden just gets piled into one world, and he's basically god of it.
Nice. Yeah, I completely back this choice as the number 1 overall villain in this draft, simply because essentially you have Reed Richards, who's the smartest person in the Marvel Universe, and Doctor Strange, who is master of all the mystic arts up to a cosmic level. And this guy basically does both that. Like, he does both of them. He's just like, yeah, I got all of that. Don't even worry about it. And also, I'm breaking my mom out of hell just on the side for fun. Like, it's good stuff. Robbie, do you have any commentary? Is this a worthy number 1 overall pick in the villain draft?
Yeah, like, I'm not a Doom guy.
Sure.
But I completely understand everyone's infatuation of this guy. Like,
well,
it's, but yeah. So hold on. So Zach with the number 1 overall pick. This is a great breakdown. I mean, you're talking about a guy who can basically control anything with his mind or with his hand. He has superpowers. He has super intelligence. This man has it all. He has the intangibles and the tangibles to go on to beat number 1.
Robbie, that was the best thing I've ever seen. That was so good. And if you're going to watch the video of this later, Robbie puts on the full headset with the boom mic and gets in full ESPN announcer mode there. It was great. It's cracking me up. So, Robbie, you're finding yourself here at pick number 2. The first team here went a direction you not necessarily thought they were going to go to. There is amazing value on the board here for your pick, which is number 2 overall. You get your choice of the litter here, considering you weren't going to go Doom. What's the pick, Robbie?
So here's my logic. I know that my pick here is probably not going to be picked by anyone, and I could probably take anyone on the board. But I want to stick true to who I love as villains and who my favorite villains are. So even though I could go Lex Luthor, I could go Joker, I could go the best of the best, for all intents and purposes. However, I'm going to go with my favorite villain of all time, Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin.
Oh, Green Goblin sneaking in number 2 overall. Let's break down the film. So
if you really ever need a reason to love Norman Osborn, I'm going to tell you what you need. You just need to go pick up Marvel's Dark Avengers, and you just need to watch Norman Osborn completely control, dictate, and navigate the U.S. government and the Avengers while also making Steve Rogers look like a little punk. He is fantastic at manipulation. He is fantastic at science, and also the man's got a temper, so you don't want to make him too angry. But no, all kidding aside,
it's a manipulation sensation.
Yes, and his intellect is higher than almost anyone in the Marvel universe outside of Reed Richards and Doctor Doom, for in reality. But just the dichotomy of him having to deal with his intellect and deal with his psychopath side is almost like an inverse of Hulk in a lot of ways. But again, the Dark Avengers run and the fact that he is the reason why they won at the end of Secret Invasion, and he becomes the Secretary of Defense. He takes and also, if you never get a chance, you must read Stark Disassembled, where he is hunting down Tony Stark during this entire run of him running the Avengers. And if you don't know what this is, just really quickly, the Dark Avengers is where he knows he has to have an Avengers team to protect the world. So he puts together a Avengers team with villains and makes them look like heroes. And it is fantastic. I think Norman Osborn is really kind of underrated because a lot of writers will just make him the goofy, zany, what's his name? The dude who played him in the first Spider-Man movie.
William Dafoe.
Like they just kind of turn him into that kind of zany character, and that's not what he is. And so Norman Osborn with my number 1 overall pick.
All right, number 2 on the list, Norman Osborn off the board. Shannon Moore, value is there with the 3rd pick. What you got?
Everybody's going with the brains. I figure I'm going to go a little bit of brawn, and I'm going to choose Venom.
Oh, Venom. Nice.
Because you can't, like Spider-Man, he was always kind of there. He was always like the neighborhood-friendly Spider-Man, but like he didn't really gain popularity, I don't feel, until he had like a proper nemesis. And I think Venom is the one that symbiote like was really what put him on the map. Like that once, like that, you had that story arc that was there. Not only with Venom but Carnage and all of those, but like Venom was like the first. Like he was the one that was like truly terrifying when you saw him. Like there was a sense of dread. Like I do like the fact that like the symbiote kind of chooses the person he's going to be in. So if I was gonna have him on my team and like he got his ass kicked, I just have like the Venom, the symbiote, like just jump into me, and then I would just start wrecking people's faces too. So I like the versatility of the character. I like the it's based off of vengeance and revenge, but like I do like some of the story arcs. I do like the fact that he becomes like the anti-hero, like like the the hero anti-hero kind of dichotomy. So it's all I just like the character as well. So Venom's my number 3.
Strong pick. I can't really argue with that in any way. And my only thing is he kind of got, and it's no fault of his, Venom got like horribly overexposed in the 90s there. And then they tried to do a bunch of stuff. They made other villains off of him, and like there was like the Spawn of Venom, and then they made Anti-Venom, and it just kind of kept going and going and going. But that original McFarlane Venom run, I agree with you, up there is one of the best. So my pick, and I cannot believe this prospect is still on the board. It's stunning to me. And I see you guys working and Shannon building in the trenches and all that, but when you have a game changer like Darkseid just sitting there, just waiting. And people He's sitting there running shop, kicking ass, taking names. Other companies are trying to create their own like Thanos knockoff versions. The like knockoff Gucci purse of Darkseid. You gotta go for the original deal here, and anyone that just runs the DC universe as far as villainy goes to the level that man does, and for as long as he has, and I'm using the term man loosely here, you got to go Darkseid. I mean, he's the original cosmic baddie. He's still the best that have done it. He's still the most kick-ass take-name guy. And when your entire goal is complete universal servitude, and he's gotten really close to doing it a lot of times, like really, really close, then you got to take that kind of power to build a team around. So Darkseid is the number 4 pick, and I cannot believe he is still there at 4. So thank you to my co-host.
It was primarily aesthetics. Like the dude like needs a costume upgrade. Like he's dated. I that's the only thing I have against him. His costume is dated.
You go say that to his face. Like, you tell him.
I wouldn't get there because he would shoot his laser beams out of his eyes and he would melt me and I'd be dead. Like, that's it.
Actually, no. If we watch what happened in Final Crisis, apparently when the Omega beams come out of his eyes, it just sends you back in time because you're Batman.
Shots fired.
I mean, obviously, but yeah.
Final Crisis is one of my. Being a DC fan is one of my most disappointing things has ever ended with me. I hate it.
But can we all agree that it's ridiculous that Darkseid is still hanging there at number 4? Like that. Oh, yeah. That seems silly to me.
Yeah, does.
Justin, will you back me up on this? Darkseid number 4 is ridiculously low for a man of that talent.
I mean, he is a bigger baddie, but I don't know. I guess he's. My next pick is more my cup of tea, if you will, than over Darkseid. But mine is also DC.
Okay.
So for my next pick, I'll tell you who it is. It is Eobard Thawne, a.k.a. Zoom, a.k.a. Reverse Flash.
Oh, bring in the Zoom.
Shit. You know it. Dude, I love him because, I will say, he is the best. For me, he is the best part of the Flash, the CW show. The dude who plays him does such a good job. And
John Kavanaugh.
Yep. And when they catch him, and he's like, why are you doing this to me? And he like bangs on the glass, and he's like, because I'm better than you. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, that is his thing. He hates Barry so much just because of like what Barry represents, and his whole life goal and the only reason he exists is to make his life miserable. That is he recreated the accident that gave him his powers just to get powers, just to go back in time and ruin his life is like his main goal. Like there's this one comic where it's like he went to his childhood and like Barry's like gonna like catch like the game-winning ball and he like moves his arm slightly to the right so he misses the catch and they lose the game, and like causes his friends to all like move away and stuff so that Barry grew up alone and stuff. Like he did shit that petty just because he fucking hates Barry, and he can't kill him because by killing him it like will cause him to not exist, so he can't kill him, so he does everything in his power just to make him miserable instead. And I appreciate that level of pettiness.
That's what you want in a villain. True pettiness.
Yeah, like
I appreciate
he doesn't want world domination.
Just real Tom Petty level. Just real Tom Petty level.
Yeah. Free fallen over here.
Is it my pick next? Is that right?
Yeah. It is your pick, Mr. Stelton Bull.
I might as well. Like.
Oh, here we go.
He's there. I'll take him. Yeah, no one's gonna take my third one. So okay, since he's there, I'm more surprised that this guy's here. Joker. Like how? Like it's the fucking Joker. Like it's the epitome of chaos. It is the
tremendous value at number 6. The Joker.
So what we have here, guys, is we have a possible number 1 seed guy going with the number 6 pick. You don't see picks like this happen every now and then, but you're having the Joker, the crown prince of crime, being taken in the 2nd round, and he's going to come back with a vengeance because he feels like he has just been shot in the arm with respect or disrespect, for that matter. You're talking about the man who beat a child with a crowbar, who has shot a girl in the spine, and he has angered Batman numerous times. Top value in the Joker in the 2nd round.
Tremendous value.
But no, I think Joker. You know, if you ask any person on the street, you know, give me 3 villains that you know, even if they know nothing about comics, they're going to mention the Joker.
Yeah, that's true.
And rightfully so. You know, some may say he's overrated. I would say he's overwritten. I would say it's kind of like the Wolverine, like at late or early 2000s, where Wolverine just was everywhere. Like Joker just can be put in places just for no reason, just because it's Joker. But I think he's fantastic. But yeah,
great. I have no problems with that. My pick, I'm gonna go with. I don't know. You see, like, there's a lot of villains that stick out, but like this particular set of villains scared the bejesus out of me when I was reading comic books, and so I'm gonna have to go with the Sentinels. You know, from X-Men.
Okay.
Tremendous pick.
I mean, like, they're giant robots. They don't sleep. They don't eat. They're built to hunt mutants. Like, they look for anomalies. Like,
every time they show up in the TV show, they're scary as crap.
Yeah, they're relentless. Like, their design is terrifying. Like, except for in the stupid movies, like the remakes that they made. Like I didn't like the design in the most recent movie. Like, it's garbage. Like,
I haven't seen Phoenix. I'm talking about Days of Future Past. I love them.
No, that's what I'm talking about. I don't like them in Days of Future Past. Like, I think
were they change and adjust? That was cool as hell. I thought.
I don't know.
You are the official the Browns of this draft. Okay.
Dude, my comic book game is nowhere near as strong as you guys. But like, you know, looking back over like villains, like I always remember the Sentinels being like. I mean, like, they, like, decimated mutants. Like, I mean, they were just, I mean, like, they have no qualms about killing kids, killing adults, killing, like, anybody. Like, they killed all the time. So, Sentinel's my number 2 pick. Or my 2nd pick.
All right. That is very interesting. Now, we're seeing some interesting developments on the phones. Teams are trying to work a trade here, but... But you know, I think what's happening is I see someone's pick and it's a really good one. So I think I'm just going to take it for myself and help build my team. I'm going to go Sinestro here.
You?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Snaking it. Now, I know another player in this draft is very passionate about the Lantern Corps and all things Green Lantern. And now I think there's something special when you have a former Green Lantern, one that was held up as one of the very best, if not the best of all time.
The best.
And only to find out that he was the best of all time in his quadrant because he ruled like Dr. Doom and crushed and killed anyone that stepped out of line. And so, you know, they really didn't like that, and so the Green Lantern Corps stripped him of all his power and kicked him off into another world where, guess what, he wound up finding a whole bunch of people that also hate the Green Lantern Corps, and they made him a yellow ring, and the rest, as they say, is history, and he has been kicking ass and taking names ever since, because guess what, even though he ruled with fear and terror, he was also really good at his job, and he's still really good at it. And he has been at the core of many a famous storyline, and I think I am getting tremendous value here at number 8 overall with Sinestro.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who can get a broken neck, suffer a broken neck, and come back from it, it's a pretty good, you know, got some good healing factors there. Looking at you,
Yeah.
Batman. Get your shit together. But anyway, yeah, that's a good pick. Deep cut.
So, is Robbie still here? Or did he leave the draft in disgust?
He's in dismay right now.
He's on the phones calling the boys back home.
No,
Yeah.
no, because what we have here, folks, is not. You've heard of Bountygate, you've heard of Deflategate, and you've heard of all these other gates and Watergate. But today, what we have is a nice, good old Twittergate, where Shannon saw a tweet Zach saw a tweet that happened earlier this week, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about, and he knew.
This is shocking.
He knew.
These allegations, sir, will not stand. I do not know what we are stating here, but actually, I stand by the choice. I think it's a tremendous choice. He's an amazing villain, and okay for Justin's final pick in his top 4, number 9 overall. What are we doing?
All right. Before I say my pick, I just want to add 2 things. One, I do like the Sinestro War Corpse comic art. Love it.
Yeah.
It's one of the best. And as Robbie showed his Green Lantern tattoo, I have planned on this shoulder.
It's actually blue.
Sorry. Oh well, sorry. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I love the Blue Lantern Corps so much. Go ahead.
Oh, see, I was like, I'm gonna get the Black Lantern Corps from Blackest Night.
Yeah,
because I like it. But so for my final pick, it's a bit of a. I knew it wasn't going to be on anybody's list because he is like a D-level villain in the Marvel universe, but I, for whatever reason, just love him to pieces, is the Hood. He's just the Hood. He has the cloak that's possessed by Dormammu. He has the guns. He's like street-level villain. He has like Madame Mask and stuff and a bunch of street-level villains in the Marvel universe.
I gotta tell you, the war rooms around the league are looking puzzled.
I know Robbie's like brains. I'm gonna try and pull up a picture here because I see Robbie's gears turning, and I'm like,
you picked a punter.
Yeah, but I love them, hon. Here we go.
This is the equivalent of when the Raiders drafted Darius Hayward Bay with the number 7 overall pick, and everyone went, "Who?"
Okay, I mean he exists. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he has a hood that's possessed by Dormammu, so it allows him to like phase through walls, but he pretty much just uses pistols like the entire time. But I like him because there was he's been in stuff here and there and stuff, and he has like a little 6-issue like miniseries and stuff on him that's like about his life. But my favorite thing that he was ever in was he was in this one Punisher story arc where I don't know if it was the Infinity Stones or if it was something else that he got. I can't remember. But he brought the Punisher's family back from the dead. Like, he dug up their graves and brought back Punisher's kid and wife and was like, you did, because he wanted Punisher to kill someone for him. And he was like, if you do it, I'll bring your family back. And Punisher did it. And he brought his family back. And the Punisher snaps and like burns them alive with a flamethrower. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I brought you back your family. And he's like, my family's already dead. And like, it like blew his mind that like he went through all this work. He gave him what he wanted. And he like broke the Punisher by bringing him back and then made him kill him again. But he's a good guy. And I like him.
Dark as hell. But all right, cool. I'm on board. All right. After Team Stonepool has been scrambling to readjust their boards, what is the last pick for Team Stonepool?
Probably one of my favorite stories ever. The first story that I ever read in comics that I told you about. I'm gonna go with Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, as my final villain. I mean, what you're talking about here is you're talking about a man so crazy and nuts and so skilled that he was able to attack a group of teenagers and manipulate them and anger them and almost kill each one of them individually. I love Deathstroke, not only for what he matters in the world of Teen Titans and to Dick Grayson, but just the only man to ever go toe-to-toe, hand-to-hand combat against Batman and be able to take him. Like he is actually he is better technically trained hand-to-hand combat than Batman, and that to me is super impressive. And he's a strategic genius. He literally manipulated a girl who, it depends on the comic you read whether it's his daughter or not, to infiltrate and go become a Teen Titan, to then just turn on them, and he ends up sacrificing her to win his. It's crazy, just what he's able to do and what he has done in comics. But yeah, I'll go Slade Wilson, Deathstroke.
Excellent.
Also,
Excellent
the fact
pick.
that I'm very angry that I may never get to see John Magniello's version of Deathstroke, by the way. But that's neither here nor there.
All right, Shannon. Team Moore, what do you got?
Go big or go home. I'm going to go with Galactus.
Galactus. All right. Bringing some cosmic heat
pretty much.
these boards.
I mean, like, he eats planets, dude. Like, you don't, I mean, how much bigger do you need? You don't like somebody on that planet, just go tell him to go eat it. Like, it's fine. Like, he needs sustenance. Like, just go over there and destroy it. Like, zero qualms, zero. He doesn't care about anything other than eating. So, that's my guy right there.
And that's almost why I don't really consider him a villain. I don't know. Like, he's almost just kind of a force of nature.
He's just a parasite.
It's like I don't know. It's like a tornado a villain or a hurricane a villain. Like, I don't know. Big dude's just hungry. Like, I feel bad for him.
Depends on the day.
Yeah, totally. I mean, hey, we've all been there. Hungry. You ain't thinking right. You got the hanger working a little. Well, but no, I like the choice. I think it's a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's a terror. I mean, like, he's the ender of worlds. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, you can't get more villainous than that.
It's true. So my last pick, I'm gonna go a little off board here, and we'll see what you guys think. I'm gonna go Ozymandias from Watchmen.
Wow.
I'm going.
Great pick.
Yeah, the guy that is willing to sacrifice millions to save billions. Sure, you could call him an anti-hero. He doesn't consider himself a villain, and I think that's what makes him so villainous. The fact that he thinks he's doing like this great virtuous thing by stabbing all of his teammates in the back and killing millions of people in order to save the rest of the planet. And it's one of the best moments in all of comics when he does the villain soliloquy of breaking down his entire plan. And they're like, yeah, but now we're here to stop you. And he's like, stop me. I did it 35 minutes ago. And it was just that moment of like, oh, shit. Like, yeah, it was such a great moment.
That is my favorite. It's my favorite comic of all time. And he plays an integral role in that. Just probably the most evil villain who you never actually see him do anything. You only see the reaction to his actions.
Well, and when you realize that everything you've been following in that comic, literally the entire time, has just been his chess moves the whole time. Like, he's, okay, I'm going to do this, and then you guys are going to do that, which makes me do this, and then I'll do this to make you guys do that, and that's the entire storyline. And when you realize at the end of it, he's been the puppet master pulling the strings, it's a masterstroke. It's amazing. And he's cold, he's calculating, and the scariest thing about him is he thinks he's right. And that's why he's my pick for the last pick of our villain draft. So nice. How do you guys think we did? I think we did pretty good. There's a lot of talent hanging out there still.
I was gonna say, I think you guys were pretty good. I think my picks were a little lackluster, but I think it's just because of I don't have the experience that you guys do. But I'll raise my game.
I like it. Well, Robbie is gonna duck out. So Robbie, why don't you say bye real quick, and then I'll do a recap.
Guys, thank you so much for letting me come back, and also I really enjoyed this draft. I will say this: Shannon may have the most powerful of the villains just by sheer power scale. So Shannon, don't belittle yourself too much on that. You just may have the boring in the sense of no character. Like, they're not actually characters; they're just like avatars of evil and power. But guys, I love y'all. Y'all have a good night. Okay.
Yeah, have a good one, Robbie.
Right. Have a good one,
to
Robbie.
see your face.
And so I'll go a quick recap down the draft board. We have Number 1, Doctor Doom. Number 2, Norman Osborn. 3, Venom. 4, and I still can't believe 4 is Darkseid. 5, Zoom, aka Anti-Flash, aka how many names does he have, Justin? Isn't it
he gets throughout time he gets, I mean, pretty much he's just anymore in the comics he's just known as Zoom or Anti-Flash, because there's been multiple iterations besides Eobard Thawne, who was like Reverse Flash. But
yeah, that's true, because originally it was like one of his friends and like fellow scientists or something, right? And then
because like one person got the powers, it was solely the suit that was giving him the power. He wasn't like, he didn't have the powers, it was the suit itself that gave him the abilities of the Flash. But
and then number 6, which shockingly, the Joker, out of the top 5. Who would have thought? 7, we've got the Sentinels. 8, Sinestro. 9, the Hood, with the shocking pick. 10, Deathstroke, a.k.a. Slade Wilson, a.k.a. not Wade Wilson or Deadpool, which is a great parody character that is coming to his own. And 11, the World Eater Galactus. And number 12, Ozymandias from The Watchmen. That rounds out the villain draft. Apparently, if your name had 4 letters, you were on Justin's team. He was looking for 4-letter talent.
I didn't even realize that.
That was his big marketplace inequity that he was working with.
Yeah.
It's 4-letter talent.
Yeah, I went to public school, so I had to limit my picks to.
But no, this was a lot of fun. There's a lot of talent still out on the boards. Thanos not make the cut. Anti-Monitor not in the cut. You know, you brought up the Black Lanterns storyline and all that. You know, Anti-Monitor.
I mean, you could have gone with Kingpin or like the Dark Phoenix or Lex Luthor.
But no Lex Luthor. No Lex Luthor is tremendous. I have to say.
Yeah. A couple of the ones that didn't make it on the my list but were close were Sinestro was one. I also had Negan from The Walking Dead. Because dude, he was fucked. Like in the comics, dude, like he figured out that like he basically created germ warfare in The Walking Dead by coating weapons with zombie blood and like having people shoot people like in the legs with arrows and stuff. And like, oh, like it's fine, and then they end up dying because he coated all the arrows with zombie blood. Like,
pretty brutal. Yeah. But who's some other heavy hitters that we didn't get to? Magneto. Magneto.
Oh, yeah. Well, Magneto. Yeah, he's always clouded, though. Like, he always makes the stupid mistake somewhere along the line. How about, like, Mystique? Mystique was a great villain, too. Like, I mean, a chameleon that can go in anywhere and just basically, like, you know, assassinate anybody? That's pretty dope.
And it's also, like, hundreds of years old. So she's got, like, the experience of, 4 or 5 lifetimes to pull from. Like, it's pretty crazy. Yeah. Dark Phoenix was a good pull, though. Dark Phoenix.
How about Sabretooth or like Omega Red? Like, I mean, those are two like big.
They're in that next tier, though, for me.
Yeah, they're like,
because I mean, they're big and they're bad, but they're not like they're more like muscle. You know what I mean? They're more like a weapon. You point them at something to get it done. They're kind of in that like Rhino mold.
Juggernaut.
Yeah, Juggernaut.
I'd pick Gambit, but he's kind of not necessarily good, but not necessarily bad. He falls in that kind of category.
That weird like anti-hero thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was fun. So let us know what your thoughts are. What do we totally screw up on? Who did we overdraft, underdraft?
Yeah, what are some of your guys' picks that made your guys' list?
I'm curious to see. I actually sneakily like the Sentinels as a pick on this list. It's something I didn't consider. But any storyline where the Sentinels show up, it's a bad day. Like pretty much. It's going down for real. Like when that,
and there was never just one, right? It was like ants. Like you saw one, and then you saw like 100.
Yeah, totally. But so this was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed having all 4 of us back. for a show. This has been a long time coming, and I'm really excited about it as we move forward. And thank you all for listening. And I will hand it off to Shannon for the outro. Mr. Shannon.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Just to let you know, a little programming note: Zach and Justin did do a show last week. Just because of my schedule, I haven't been able to edit it yet. So you're gonna get a twofer this week. You're gonna get this episode, and you're gonna get the one from last week. So hope you enjoyed that for your earbuds. Also, you can follow us at That Pixel Life on Twitter. You can find us at Facebook, That Pixel Life as well. Join the group. Tell us what you think of the podcast. Leave us reviews on wherever you download your podcasts, whether it be on like Podbean or through iTunes or Stitcher or whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway. Yeah, thank you for having us in your earbuds for an hour, Justin. I'm not going to ask you if there's any progress because I know you've been working your ass off. So Negative Space coming in 2020. Maybe we'll have an update next week when Justin doesn't have to work so much. But thank you very much for listening. And as always, I wish Robbie was here to give us his saying. But Zach,
hey guys, be great.
And wait, before we go, I have one last thing.
What?
Eva, yeah. I told you at the beginning of the podcast, but I didn't have time to. But we have the final sticky note.
Oh, we do.
Right.
Yeah,
let's do it.
It's been in my Converse waiting for it. So if you haven't listened on the podcast with just me and Zach, he picked the first one, and then on the newest episode of the Nothing to Play podcast, which I just recorded with Shannon before this podcast, Shannon picked the second one, and this is the third and final question of the trilogy that I wrote on the sticky note. And it is what is the worst thing you didn't get caught doing as a kid that you got away with? You got away with bloody murder.
Let's go ahead and cap this off at like 13. Because
okay.
let's make it as a kid. Because this starts to slip into areas in the later teenage years that not a cool, just venting on the airwaves. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we don't want you to criminalize. Shannon already almost got arrested by the cops. Which, if you want to hear about that, you can listen to the new episode of Nothing to Play podcast. But so if you want, I can start and I'll tell you mine that I got away with was
sure.
I was probably 9, maybe 10. I don't remember the exact age. So it was during the summer. School was out. My parents, of course, were at work. So I was at home by myself. And I would go to like the driving range and stuff with my grandparents and hit golf balls and do whatever. So I had my own pair of like kids clubs, and I was playing golf in the house while everyone was at work. And there's this like archway between the dining room and the living room, and that's where I was standing. And I had my 9-iron, and I swung and I hit the side of the arch as I was like putting this ball, and I was like, oh shit. And I'm like looking at it, and I was like, and I put a dent in the wall, but it didn't take away any of the paint. It just carved this like D-shaped hole in the wall. But I was like, man, this is so low. I don't know if anyone will ever actually notice this. And to this day, nobody has. And every time I go over there, I look at it, and sure enough, there's still this D-shaped dent from my 9-iron in the side of this arch that's like 10, maybe 11 inches off the ground, but it's so low that I don't think anybody ever notices it unless you're like at that height. So.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good one. That kind of is similar to my story, which I want to say I was 11, maybe 12. And my dad had this old Ford pickup. Maybe I was younger than that, actually. But either way, it was this old Ford pickup. And it was always backed up against the garage, and the garage like doubled as a workspace for my dad and a rec room. So the garage door was never open because it was like the old swing out style, not the roll up kind. And he used to back the truck right up next to it to park it, so it would be off the street. And I got it in my head one day that I was going to go for a drive because being a latchkey kid, I was home by myself a lot, and me and my sister were, and my sister was out somewhere with her friends, so I was by myself, and I'm like, I bet I can take that car around the block. Like, it'll be cool. and so I get in the truck and I fire it up, and I'm pretending to drive for a while, thinking I'm like really cool. And I drop it into reverse, not really realizing it. I wasn't trying to drive at this point. I was just like messing around, but the car was running, and it was a 70s pickup, so it wasn't like you had to step on the brake to put it in reverse. No, you could just drop it. And I'm like, do, kunk, and I went right back into the garage door. Terrified myself. Put it back into park after I figured out what I did. Looked at it, and there was a huge line across the garage door where the bumper had hit it. You know, like it knocked a whole bunch of paint off of it because the paint was old on the garage door at that point. And I got out of the car, went back to the house, put the keys back where I found them, never said a word about it. My dad didn't drive that truck for probably another month, and drove it. And the whole time he left, I was just waiting for him to come home. I knew as soon as he backed it in, I was dead. Like, I was dead. The second he parked that car, it was all over for me. He got home, parked the car, never said a word about it. And we moved out of that house like 3 months later. and it was just one of those, like, I don't know if he just never saw it or if he just assumed the paint was just coming off the garage and F it, we're moving anyway, and didn't care. Like, or maybe he thought he did it at some point. I don't know. But like, I never got talked to about it. No one's ever mentioned it to me. And I lived in terror of that moment for like weeks. It was weeks of just like, every time my dad came home from work, I'm like, fuck, today's the day. Today's the day it's going to happen. Oh, God. Oh, God. And then the night would go by, and I would live another day, and it's like, and then the next day, oh, no. Oh, no, the truck. Oh, here we go. But no, like, yeah, I never got caught as far as I knew, or maybe my parents knew they were selling the house, and the door wasn't even broken, so F it, and no one cared. Like, I don't know. But for whatever reason, I never got called for it, so I'll take it.
Nice. I don't have anything as grandiose. I was probably, I would say 12, 13. Went to a public school. Every day after school, they had like a little concession stand out front while you were waiting for the bus. You could buy like a bag of chips or like some peanuts or something. And it was always chaotic. There was always like hundreds of kids that would like storm this thing. There was no lines. It was just like you got up there and you threw your money down and you took something. And one day I was just like, why do I have to pay for anything? So like, you know, in the herd, like I walked up there and like snagged a bag of like corn nuts. Like it was barbecue flavored corn nuts. And like I just went out and like, you know, went away and like did my thing. But I was so racked with guilt because like I'd gone to Catholic school for so long in my life before that point that like I didn't know what to do. So like when I got my allowance, I went back like a week later and just like gave the lady like like $10 because like I couldn't like I just couldn't live with the guilt anymore. Like I kept thinking I was gonna get caught again. So or like somebody was gonna like nab me and be like, you stole a bag of corn nuts. So yeah. That's the only thing I ever really got away with. I was not a bad boy.
It tasted like barbecue and fear.
Yeah.
I was like,
the adrenaline rush was insane.
Shannon Moore, the notorious corn nut copper over here.
Oh,
yes. Great.
I'll steal your nuts.
I've heard that about you. So anyway, I guess that's our show for this week. You know a little bit more about us, and we'll see what we can do next week to keep it going. But yeah, like Shannon said, get on us on the message board or on the Facebook group and message board. I'm still thinking about Rotten Tomatoes, and hit me up on Twitter, and we'll hopefully talk to you all soon.
Bye.